I think that the president's move here is the single bravest foreign policy move of my lifetime. I think it can be the single most transformational foreign policy move since the fall of the Soviet Union, because Iran has been a thorn in the side of the United States and our allies for 47 years, as the president has made clear. They're responsible for the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans. They're developing a nuclear program, and they were moving more and more quickly toward a nuclear weapon that would have made it virtually impossible to stop them from spreading their terror tentacles around the region and then beyond that.
Maybe we should have a discussion about Israel's terror tentacles. But as you heard, over the weekend, Lara Trump interviewed a very ecstatic Ben Shapiro, who argued that starting a war with Iran, genius foreign policy move, Cenk, genius.
That is so weird that he's backing Israel here. Has he done that before?
No, Ben Shapiro's
I didn't know which way he was gonna come out.
Always about the United States. He's very concerned about what's best for the United States, which is why he advocated aggressively for dragging us into a war that doesn't benefit the United States at all, and has already claimed the lives of 13 of our service members. But anyway, back to you, Cenk.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna break down every one of his talking points after you see it.
So here's more of what Ben, I love Israel to the detriment of the United States, Shapiro had to say.
If you had to grade his leadership during this time in our country right now, what would you give him?
I mean, A+ right now. I mean, again, I think what you're watching him do in Iran is not only unprecedented in terms of its political courage. I think that it is and has the potential to be a true game changer for America's role in the world, not only for the next 10 or 20 years, but for the coming century. Because what he is doing is he's reasserting American authority in the world. He understands on an innate gut level. The president's foreign policy has always been rooted in that peace through strength principle, in the idea that the best way to achieve peace is for people to understand that inside the velvet glove is an iron fist. That you actually have to throw your enemies off their game. That you actually have to make the hard decisions that make your opponents understand that they cannot cross us. And I think the president, it's a real estate negotiation to him. And guess what? The rules of New York real estate actually apply incredibly well to the politics of the Middle East, for example.
Oil prices have already spiked as a result of Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of oil and liquefied natural gas travels through. Our European leaders are now reconsidering alliances for security reasons. They don't think that the United States is really interested in protecting allies, certainly not in the Gulf region, as we've seen through this war. But European countries are pretty sick of the United States. Trump in particular, pressuring them to join this war against Iran. They don't want to do it. And so now they're looking at reworking alliances, again, for security purposes. How does this benefit the United States again? How is this an A+ for Trump?
Yeah, so he actually had 7 talking points there. I'll go as quickly as I can. They constantly mentioned 47 years. Why? Because they forgot to make a case that we have interest in this war. That's why the war started at 21% popularity in this country. So now they're going backwards and going, oh, remember Iran attacked us 47 years ago. And that's why the threat is imminent. Then of course he brings in the nukes, the fake weapons of mass destruction, just like in Iraq. They not only did they not have a single nuclear weapon, but we already bombed all their nuclear facilities, and Trump told us that we obliterated all their facilities, and then we rebombed them in this campaign, so they are gone, gone, gone. But you need fake weapons of mass destruction to scare the crap out of the American people.
I got to comment on that real quick. I mean, if Ben Shapiro is very concerned about the human rights abuses and the criminality of using weapons of mass destruction, what about the fact that Israel's been using white phosphorus, chemical weapons, against the Lebanese?
And how about the fact that they have nukes? And if nukes are such a giant danger in the Middle East, why don't you get rid of your nukes? Remember the ones that you stole from us, the secrets of how to build nukes? But of course not. No, they're superior to everyone else, so they're allowed to break every law and have every weapon, and you're not allowed to have a single weapon or defend yourself. Okay, so then he goes to the terror tentacles. So that's a talking point that a lot of people are using about Israel and their tentacles all over the world. He says, no, it's not Israel. Iran secretly controls the world. They do? That's why Iran got us to attack Israel, right? Oh, right, no, Israel got us to attack Iran. Okay, A+, do you remember when Ben Shapiro used to be a never Trumper? I do, I remember when Mark Levin was a never Trumper, and all of the Israel firsts were never Trumpers, just like Mary Madelson used to be a big supporter of Bill Clinton. and now she's a big supporter of Trump. Larry Ellison used to be a big supporter of Bill Clinton, now a big supporter of Donald Trump, because Israel First has no alliances or principles. All they care about is Israel. So when Trump is on Israel's side, A+, okay? When he doesn't do exactly as Israel orders, F-. I'm never gonna support that guy. It's all Israel, Israel, Israel. That's the only thing that goes through Ben Shapiro's mind in a track. He says, we need to reassert American authority. That's John McCain, Joe Lieberman, neocon, Dick Cheney talk, as is the exact opposite of America First and what used to be MAGA. And then he says, now the best way to achieve peace is war. Okay, thanks, George Orwell.
Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it. And finally, the real estate talking point. Why does he say that? One is he's flattering Donald Trump. You know, the real geniuses are real estate developers in New York, right? But there's a second reason why he's saying it. Because right now, the people who are pretending to do peace negotiations, but actually driving us to war are Steve Witkoff and primarily Jared Kushner, both who work in New York real estate. So what Shapiro is signaling there is, you better keep Kushner on the job. He's doing a terrific job of making sure we go to endless wars while pretending to be a peace negotiator. Kushner is obviously working for Israel, so that's why Shapiro loves the real estate guys who are in charge.
So let's talk about the very obvious difference between Americans and Israelis when it comes to support or lack of support for this war against Iran. As Ian Bremmer posted on X, when it comes to Americans, only 36% approve this war against Iran, 54% disapprove. The numbers are very different for the Israelis though. 82% approve, 13% disapprove. Unclear whether their opinion of this war is gonna change as Israel quickly runs out of their interceptors. But I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.